What's going on, brothers? Domestic violence is a you problem. Once you know that the woman is crazy, if she puts her hands on you, if she's verbally violent towards you, verbally violent, it's time for you to go ahead and make your exit, brothers. You do not have to take nonsense from a lot of these American women because they feel they could do whatever they want and not suffer any consequences for the things they do. Remember, brothers, most of these women have a childlike mentality. But let's go ahead and get into this court case.
Plaintiff Nicole Harper dated the defendant for 3 years, and they have one child together. Nicole claims the defendant was insecure and always accused her of cheating, and as a result, he became physically abusive. Nicole's suing her ex-boyfriend for unpaid rent. Defendant Tevin James says Nicole has a bad temper, and she is so violent that she ripped up his clothes, threatened him with a knife, and busted out his car windows. He's countersuing for car vandalism.
Start with you.
Well, Tevin is my ex-boyfriend. We got one child together. In 2014, July, he became abusive, and
How long had you all been together?
we've been together for 3 years.
Why do
Let me say this, brothers. You see how she said, just out of the blue, basically, he just became abusive. But of course, the judge is going to ask what he did to become abusive. And let's listen to her story.
why do you think he became abusive and
He became very insecure.
what would he do?
He would always accuse me of cheating and talking to other dudes, and I never cheated on him.
Okay, what was the abuse though?
He punched me in my face, and
When was that? When?
that was July of 2014. And then a couple of days ago, actually, we got into it because of his.
Oh, brothers, one more thing. I want you to take notice of the audience. Y'all notice how when she said that she got punched in the face, it was all oohs and ahs, like, wow, how could he do that? Want y'all to take notice how how the responses of what he did to her compared to what she did to him. Let's continue.
His ex-girlfriend and my
A couple of days ago.
last Thursday.
What happened?
We got into it over his ex-girlfriend and my son, and he got real angry and he hit me twice in my face.
Sir, what do you want to tell me? You're a big
the
guy to
talk-
be assaulting somebody. I hope that's not true.
And sir, it's just like the situation. She ran up on me with a knife, and I was defending myself.
When was that?
July 4th, 2014. She
No one
just
called the police?
I called the police.
You have your police report?
No, he ran from the scene and they
Did
said
you have
they
a knife? Did you charge at him with a knife?
Yes.
And then he responded by hitting you? What about the other day?
But
Pardon me?
I had the knife after he hit me.
Oh, is that true?
How would that even be possible? She was just cutting up my clothes before that happened.
I
you
ripped
cutting up
your clothes.
You were cutting up his clothes?
I never cut his clothes. I ripped them, Your Honor.
Ripped them with your hand?
With my hand.
Now, you see how the audience laughed at what she did compared to what he did? See, brothers, I tell you this all the time. The woman has a childlike mentality. So, what she does to him is funny. Just like how, when little children do silly things, they laugh at stuff like that. So they look at the woman as a child because all she's going to pretty much get is a slap on the wrist. That's still physical abuse by her ripping his clothes off of his body. That's still physical abuse, but they don't look at it like that because they don't look at the woman. Even though they all say they want to be equal, they don't want to be treated equal. They really don't. But let's continue.
My hands.
I'm inclined to believe him, ma'am. And what about the other incident just now?
It ain't no explanation for that one.
What happened?
Like, we was just tussling. Like, she tried to take the woman belongings that I was talking to. Like, tried to run out the house with him. And I was trying to get it, so we started tussling.
Why don't you describe the relationship?
Like, in the beginning, Nicole always had a temper, but I didn't know how bad it was.
She had a temper.
Yes. She was the one who was abusive towards me. Back, like, in the beginning of our relationship, like, she had a temper, like, we argue, she'll get violent, like, want to fight. I don't like to fight females. That's
that
how
true,
I was
man?
raised.
No.
You've never been violent toward?
We have arguments,
No,
but
you get violent.
no, not all the
Okay.
time.
It's okay.
Again, brother, you see how they laughing at that? That's funny. When a woman does something stupid like that, it's funny to them. And look at how she lied. You think they would have done the same? You think they would have laughed at if he would have said something like that? See, this is why I tell you a lot of times, brothers, and really it's not even just black men. It really is black men, but it's just men in general. They don't give a shit about y'all in America. They don't. But especially you black men. They don't care about you. You are on the bottom of the totem pole. You're on the bottom of the totem pole, so-called black man. Just keeping it 100 with you.
Got it. So that means, yes, you do get violent.
Like,
Go ahead.
example, like an incident that happened, like, in March 2015. Like, we was living together, and, like, she just called me out the blue one night and was like, come, let's talk. I come to the house, we sitting, and she was like, I don't know if she was intoxicated, like drunk or anything, but, like, the way the night ended, she jumped on me, pulling out my hair, so I just removed myself from the situation and the living situation as well. So I moved back with my moms to avoid the violence.
Tell me about when she grabbed your girlfriend's clothes.
No, she had took the girlfriend's Bluetooth. She was supposed to drop off my son. I didn't even know how she got in the house.
You want to tell me about that incident?
Okay, so I called him earlier around 10 o'clock. This was Thursday. I called him and I said, I have some things to do, so could you watch Kai, which is our son? And so he was like, okay. So me and the girl, we got into it or whatever.
How?
Over text messages. So after she contacted him that morning, I said, could you watch Kai? I'll be back. He said, no, I don't want to watch him. I said, why? I said, you just said that you was going to watch him. Now it's a problem because of this girl. He like, yeah, that's how you making it, so that's what it's going to be. So by the time we got outside, I told him, I said, well, you can tell your little girlfriend to come and get her stuff from me. So I went to the car and
Get her stuff from you.
Yes.
Now, you already got into it with the girl through text messages. Then you're going to tell him to tell his girlfriend to get her stuff? And now you're probably wondering, like, how do you even have her stuff? See, these women, I tell you, brothers, first of all, y'all got to learn to get these women under control, because right now, brothers, they're out of control. They're out of control. And nobody's setting standards for these women, so they acted like children. Matter of fact, right now, they're acting like hyenas. A lot of them are acting like hyenas, like they just got out the damn zoo. These women don't know how to act. I keep telling y'all, brother, these women have a childlike mentality. They're childish. But let's continue.
What were you doing with her stuff?
I was angry.
Okay. Angry again?
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. What Brenda are you suing him for, ma'am?
I'm suing him for unpaid rent for 10 months because in February of 2015, we leased a house. Mm-hmm. And so he was there. He paid for February and March, but from April until now, he hasn't paid anything. So I'm assuming he's not going to pay anything for the rest of the months. And I'm struggling paying the rent by myself as of now.
What's his portion, or what's the
We
total
agreed
rent?
to pay $297 a month.
Total or each?
each.
All right.
Our rent is $594.
All right. And when did he stop?
He stopped paying it in April after he moved out.
All right. So it was for April?
April until January 2016.
All right. Well, you have a duty to mitigate your damages by getting another roommate within 3 or 4 months, or 3 months is usually the time. Sir?
The reason I moved out of the premises is because her temper and her violent anger that she has, like, you don't never know when it's going to come out.
Was there an incident around that time?
Yes, sir. In April 2015, she had bust all my windows out my car. I have pictures, police report, everything. Like,
Did you do
it
that?
was her.
Yes.
Another childish incident. Busting windows out. I'm going to be honest with you. Him putting his hands on her, I ain't even though people say, look, I ain't got no problem with that. We always telling brothers to walk away. I mean, and you should. But sometimes these women need to be knocked upside their head so they can learn their lesson. A lot of these women need to be knocked upside their head so that way they can learn their lesson. I keep telling you, brother, these women have a childlike mentality. Let's continue.
Yes, I did.
Okay. And that's your counterclaim for car damages? Why'd you do this, ma'am?
I did it because he came to my house with the girl.
Before we even brothers, I want you to listen to her story, because if and this is the reason why I like Judge Mathis basically just saying get to the point, but these women have to give a whole story before they get to what is being said. Well, I mean the incident. Judge wants to know, did you do this? So let's hear her story.
In the car that I co-signed for. And I asked him, like, okay, you never let me drive this car. You never let me do anything.
You all weren't together anymore?
No.
No. we
Got it.
wasn't.
Just because he came with his girlfriend
No,
in the
that's
car?
that's not the case,
What's
sir.
not the case?
After he brought the girl, the next day I called him.
You called him?
Yes, and I wanted to talk to him about our son, but the girl answered, and she got to talking all types of stuff to me, so I got angry, and I'm
Again?
like, this is not concerning you or anything. This has nothing to do with you. This is between me and him
I
and our
got you.
son.
Let's get to the car, ma'am.
I was angry, so when I rode
And
over
you
there,
busted out all the windows. Is that what you're getting to, ma'am?
Yes.
All right, fine. And where are your estimates, sir? I'm glad you moved. Thank God.
Yeah.
And thank God you didn't do, thank God. All right, ma'am, you did what is called a constructive eviction, meaning the things you did were so unacceptable that no one should be required to live with, and that as such they had a right to move, and they should not have to pay the penalty of that. As such, your claim.
Listen, brother, these women got to be punished. But what I'll say is this. I mean, you won't really know a woman until after you live with her. So he didn't know her very well. He even had a child with her. He didn't know her very well until they moved in together. And that's a problem, brothers. Y'all need to go ahead and have your own place. Establish yourself before you get into a relationship. Make sure that you good. Make sure that you have the funds to do what you need to do. Make sure you have a steady job. All this could have been avoided. And to be honest with you, it's really hard to vet a lot of these women because you don't know who they are. Most of the time, you will not know who they are until you live with them. And that's when you get to see the real them. Some of them you can probably figure out. Some of them you might be able to figure out from past events that they've had from somebody else. But you really don't know the woman until you live with them. And once you live with them, that's when they take the mask off and start to relax and start to act crazy. Some of them, 99.9% of them. But let's finish this out.
Your claim is dismissed, and you've shown me evidence of the windows and the paint job that you need, and also the estimate. Judgment for the counterclaim. Have a good day.
No apology or nothing?
I'm sorry for being angry.
What about my car, man?
You got the money for your car now, so. Yeah.
You know these women don't take accountability for anything. But that's pretty much it, brothers. Hey, domestic violence is a you problem,
Dream
brothers.
trip to Florida turned into
But that's it. Peace.